Good morning, everyone who are joining right now. Good morning. And just for your information, this is a recorded session, and I will walk you through the tool and what we need to do in the reporting periods, in the monitoring period. Sorry. This is the agenda. So we will briefly explain the timeline, the roles that are involved, and the key concepts. Then I will show you the screens that you will see, the layout, what you need to fill in the monitoring report, and then we will have a short Q&A session. If you have any questions, just to remind, please drop them in the Q&A chats. We will reply them simultaneously right now or when we are done with the presentation. So to remind you, as we already shared the timeline, today is the launch day. But as I mentioned, just to recap again, it might be better if you try the tool on Monday, just to be sure we don't see any bugs. If any chance you come across with a problem, you can always reach us and we will try to do our best to solve with our IT team and the developers. So today we launched the MTR process and the deadline for the activity leaders, and it does not matter whether that is an internal activity leader or an external, to submit the reporting is 27th of June. And then there will be some time until 4th, and that time is for the program managers, the new name project monitors, to review the report that the activity leaders have submitted. On 7th of July, EIT Food Business Operations team will review the assessments from the program managers, project monitors, and there will be a selection process for the upcoming panel that we call internal monitoring panel, which will take place between 8th and 11th. We will explain more details about the panel, so I will just explain the dates here, and we will go into details at the end of the presentation. And on 28th, so there will be a process after the panel, some checks, some back and forth, and then there will be this feedback assessment distribution, which is going to be on 28th. Just an important note, if there is going to be a decision regarding a fast-tracked project or a redress or closed-out decision for a CAWA, then this expected feedback distribution date may change. So it may be a little bit delayed than 28. But in normal circumstances, some of the projects or many of them will be able to receive the feedbacks on 28. What are the roles? So who are going to be involved in the monitoring? This is same as last year. So we have activity leaders who need to complete the monitoring report for their projects, as we said, by 27th of this month. If the activity leader is not available, it might be due to some holidays or some sick leave, just please reach us. We will make sure that another person will be appointed because the reports need to be submitted on time. Project monitors, so the older name program managers, they will review and assess the submitted monitoring reports by activity leader, and then they will provide their feedback on these reports. So the activity leader will share all the information and the PMs will review and comment on these. And then these will be submitted to business operations team. So they will collect, so we will collect the submitted reports, share the feedback with the activity leaders once they are available, and there will be a coordination for the panel review. For the CAWAs, that will be subject to internal monitoring panel. This will request further information and data to the consortium to address the project monitors' feedback. And then, depending on the decision outcome of the panel, there will be executive management team meeting, another decision-making mechanism there will work. And then decisions regarding fast-tracking or go-no-go decisions will be taken. What are the key concepts? The most important thing about monitoring that you need to know is this is to assess the current state of the project. So this is not the moment that you will request some amendments, but that is the moment that we are looking forward to get information regarding your expected outcomes for year ends. So that will be the moment that you can raise some issues, you can ask questions regarding the projects, if anything can be requested for 26 or not. So this is just the moment that we will assess the current state and may have some further discussions about the coming days, and we will see your expected outcomes. The monitoring will be focused on specific aspects of the CAWA. We will see them in details in the coming slides. So you need to explain in general status, completeness of the activities, output, deliverables, KPIs, how they are going, are they completed, what is the ratio, participants' role, is there any plans to change any consortium member, are there any red flags that you need to raise with us or your project monitors, and most important, we may say, the costs forecast for 25 and 26. The monitoring results will be used to facilitate decisions regarding the KAVAs, as we said. So it might be about mitigating some risks. Some decisions might be given for some KAVAs regarding go or no-go decisions, fast-tracking options, and evaluating KAVA continuation in next year. So let's see what needs to be done by activity leaders, as this is a guideline to show them how the tool will look for their monitoring reports. So I'm pretty sure you are already familiar with the tool. You know how it looks. So your monitoring reports will be available for editing in your project reports tab in My EIT Food. As you see, you go to your project and under the reports tab, you will be able to see your monitoring reports. An important note, as we said, only activity leader has editing rights. So activity leader is the responsible person to submit the report on time. Any other users who were listed under the consortium members tab can only view the report. So they won't have the edit rights, but they can view the report. The monitoring report will be editable only after you, activity leaders, click on Start Report. So you just need to find the report. You need to push Start Report. And a pop-up window will appear that you see below, and it will just inform you that the report for monitoring period has started successfully. And now it is in progress because you will start working on it. After having inserted the monitoring report request inputs, the report will have to be submitted via the submit report. So we will explain these in details, but this slide is just for you to remind that whenever you are done with all the data, you need to submit the report. So you start your report, you work on it, and you shall not forget to submit the report. Once the report is submitted by the activity leaders, it will be visible and it will not be available anymore to edit it. The project monitor will gain access to it and can proceed with the assessment. So what does it mean? Project monitor does not need to wait until the day that they can start monitoring. So whenever activity leader is okay and submits the report, project monitor can already start working on their assessment. So it is a live process, so you don't need to wait until the last day that activity leader can submit the report if the report is available. So let's see the details tab. So in your report, you will have separate tabs. The first one is called the details. In the details, that is composed by 4 sections: information, the key dates, risk progress, and status and completeness of the activity. So as you see, when you are in the report, you go to details tab, and let's see one by one what is it about. As we said, the first one under details tab is information. So this is overview of key information on the report type. This includes the report scope. So there is nothing to edit here, but this is just to give you the generic information about the report and your projects. In the second tab, in the second information, you will see the key dates. So that shows the key dates regarding the report. Again, no need to edit anything regarding the key dates, as the data will be extracted from Salesforce, My EIT Food portal, automatically. The third information that we capture under details tab is about risk progress. So this section again needs to be edited by activity leader, and it should include any incurred or potential risks that you foresee regarding the successful implementation of your activity, or anything about your commitments that is not going to be in line with what it has planned. So here is the moment, or here is the tab that you can already list your risks if you see anything. So you need to identify it, and then you need to explain the measures that has been taken by the project itself. For instance, it might be a decision of a change in the consortium, which may create some risk regarding a task. So it's always great to mention it here and then explain what is the measure that the consortium is taking. The fourth component of the details tab is the status and completeness of the activity. So when you scroll down and when you continue checking your reports, you will be able to see all these data that are mandatory and needs to be filled in. The overall completeness to date field that you can see here on your screens, referring to the progress of the activity through the whole business plan. So up to the end of the monitoring report. So we expect you to explain the overall completeness until today the monitoring report is launched. If the financial sustainability agreement case does not apply to your activity, as you see that is also asked on the right column, you just need to select not applicable. And then you will see in the drop down there is yes and no. So you just need to fill that mandatory data like the other ones that you see in the screen. Another tab in the monitoring report is the progress tab. So we explained the details tab. This is the second tab, progress. And now it is composed of 5 sections. First one is output, that is followed by deliverables, and maybe the most important one, KPIs, then the organization roles, and lastly, cost category progress. So when you click on progress tab in your reports, what you will see, as we said, first one and the second one are output and deliverables. So the format is same. In these sections, the data that is already in the tool for many of the projects that is already transferred from the Plaza, you will be able to see these inserted here. So what you need to do, just you need to explain the completeness and the expected completeness. You need to click on the arrow to edit it, like we put a highlighted circle there. So you just click on the arrow and you work on each individual deliverable or output of your projects. The activity leader should provide information on output and deliverable status justification, and that needs to be along with a coherent completeness level. So you are the one who knows the project, you are the one who knows how much has been done or completed, so you will be able to put the ratio there so we can understand what has been left until the end and what has been completed by today. The third component of the progress tab is KPI progress. In this section, the activity leader will declare the implementation status of the KAVAs. So you need to, like you did for, or you will do for deliverables and outputs. For KPIs, you again need to go to the arrow and you need to edit it. And each KPI line needs to be edited one by one. The activity leader should provide information on KPI achievement status justification along with a coherent completeness level up to date and modified expected due dates. So as you see, this was a test, but you can see that we already completed one case that we said, okay, completeness is 40, expected realization is 5, and the expected completeness is 40. And then you will also mark the actual status. So that gives the color coding regarding the completeness level. So you will see orange, red, and green. As KPIs are, we can say, the most important ones, the part regarding KPI continues. So when you scroll down in the report, after you give all these information that I explained in the previous slide, you need to explain a bit more. So the target value, that is the overall KPI targets for the KAVA. So that is not something editable. That is there for you to remember what was the target. Submitted KPIs, that is KPIs submitted for the KAVA. So the ones that were already submitted in previous reporting periods, that will appear there as submitted values. Actual status icon, so options are, as I said, green, orange, or red. This visually representing self-assessment KPI implementation status. So you will be assessing the status and you will be giving the color code. Expected realization by end of the project, as you can see on the right corner of the screenshot. There is 2 components. One is the percentage, which is indicated the level of achievement towards the target. And the second one is numerical component. So you specifically show the specific achievement forecasted by the end of the project. So those are also mandatory. When you have the reports, you will be able to detect these mandatory fields, but these are important and it would be great if that can be assessed correctly by you as the activity leader. An important note, if there are any additional KPI achievements that have been reached in 25, but there was no period for you to report it yet. So there is one or two, let's say, extra KPIs that you managed to achieve within the time period and you couldn't report it yet. So which means it's not reflected under submitted KPIs that you see. Then please highlight this in the status explanation. And as well as the expected realization field, because that will show us what is there that is not captured yet in the system. And that would be great that if we can spot these in this monitoring period, if you have any KPI achievements that has not been reported yet, let's say. The fourth component of the progress tab is project organization roles. So as we said, this is also important for some of the Kavas we are already in contact with. So we know that there are some necessities to change some consortium members, but it's great that if you can explain this in this section, so you can indicate any change that have occurred during the first half, and that may also occur during the second half. So if there is any issues that you see with consortium member, you can already flag it here. So we will also keep an eye, and your program manager, project monitor, same name, is also aware of these. In case no changes previewed, which may be the case for many projects, just please indicate not applicable. As this is a mandatory field, unless you mark it not applicable, you won't be able to proceed to the next ones, or you won't be able to submit it in a better, correct way. Then this is the fifth component of the progress tab, which is the second most important data for us, the cost category progress. So the Kavas costs are broken down per cost category. So when you see the numbers, you won't be able to see the split per participants, but you will be able to see the project's cost categories. So it will include all participants that has personal cost, for instance. And when you scroll to the left to edit the single cost line and you insert the data, I will show you a bit more detail in the next slides. For each cost line, the activity leader should input the 25 cost forecast and 26 costs forecast. So the rest of the data that you will be seeing there are already embedded, already transferred from the tool to the report. So you don't need to change anything, and it will be frozen in any case. So what is needed from you is to insert the 25 forecasted costs and 26 forecasted costs, if there are any. So more or less, we are in the middle of the year, so we expect you to know the forecasted costs for 25, which is same for 26 in terms of the logic. If your Kava is not continuing in 26, then you just need to insert 0 for the forecasted costs that belong to 26. If your Kava end date is in 25, but there is this requirement, or there is this wish to continue the activity next year in 26, then you need to fill in 26 costs forecasts, because that will enable us, business support, business operations team, to see that some projects are willing to continue, although the end date was 25. The rationale should be inserted in the explain deviation field. So there you will see there is this explain deviation field, which will enable you to give more information about your request. So that can be checked, or that can be controlled, that can be discussed by the business operations team. The 2026 continuation option must also be flagged to the project monitor directly, who will take this into consideration while assessing the report. Important note, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, the things that you are adding here, like this wish, or that like this request, it shall not be taken as granted that it is approved. So this is the moment, the monitoring period is the moment that you will be able to explain what has been done, what will be done in the near future, and what do you expect, and what do you want, and that needs to be checked within the team, and then by your project monitor. So it needs some discussion. So please don't expect or don't count it as an agreed outcome when you add these information in the monitoring report. Kava funding forecast. So as you can see in your reports, you will have a view budget summary report that you can extract. And this table is filled in automatically based on the inputs entered in the previous table, cost category forecast. It allows to have a complete overview of the funding requests based on the costs foreseen and on the Kava current EIT funding rate. So this will just help you to have a broader view or to see the full picture in a report, and data will not be editable, and that will not represent an amendment, as we said in the previous slide. So that is just for you to see the overall figures and the full picture of the project. The feedback summary. So as we said, once activity leaders submit their report, that will be the time project monitors start their evaluations. And just to remind, you don't need to wait until the last day. You can submit earlier if possible, and then your project monitor can start their controls earlier. So they don't also need to wait for the day that we said, okay, project monitors can start their evaluations. So anything that can be done earlier can be finished earlier. The summary regarding the feedback that will include the overall activity status rating. So as we had the status options before in the other Dell out KPI, here in the activity status overall rating, we will have green, orange, and red as the options. And overall rate from PM will be selected from these colors. Compliance and risk review rating, again, the colors will be same. That will be about specific rating on Kava compliance with the business plan expectations and requirements and on eventual risks identified. Another component will be financial review rating. So that will be the place that specific rating on budget management will be given. And technical review rating, that will be the part that specific rating on outcomes, deliverables, and KPI status will be given by the project monitors. And let's say, as we were telling, once program managers, new name project monitors, submit their reports after their own assessment with all these criteria that we explained in the previous slides, now that will be the time for business operations team to receive them and start their controls and discussions. And that will lead us to the panel selection or the panel, but not every project will be selected to the panel. And let me show you which ones are the ones for sure that will be discussed in a panel. The red ones, so the projects that were marked with red as an overall activity by the program manager, project monitor, that will be for default a part of panel selection agenda. So projects that are rated red will be in the panel. Then for the orange Kavas, that is upon business operations monitoring report review or the direct request from PM. So a PM may already select your Kava as orange, but still would like to check your project with the panel. Then PM can request this, or further checks by business operations team can lead an orange Kava to be discussed in a panel. Green ones, upon again business operations monitoring report review, they might be selected for a panel, or it might be again a direct request from the program managers, the new name project monitors. So for sure, red ones will be discussed, and orange and green, it will depend on our internal checks or any direct request from the program manager. The panel review, so if let's say project Kava is selected for the panel, the monitoring report inputs and the PM's assessment will be discussed by the panel members. So that will be the moment that representatives from reference Kava areas, it might be project monitor director, representative from business operations and EIT food impact team will come together in the panel, and they will discuss the report that is submitted by activity leader, and on top the comments from the program manager. So the panelists will be able to review these reports in detail and start a discussion about the projects. Representatives from other departments may also be invited, and it depends on the nature of the discussion. And panelists with voting rights, this is just for information, that a project monitor, area director, and CIO or their respective delegates, they will submit evaluation scorecards based on a standardized evaluation criteria as a result of the panel discussion. The average rating will determine the follow-up actions. And how does this assessment criteria work? As you see, I won't read all, but you will be able to see these guidelines soon in your mailboxes. So there are the criteria about compliance and risk, quality and efficiency, and a KIC portfolio strategic fit. So based on these panelists will be able to review and give their scorings with the scoring cards, and that will lead us to a conclusion regarding each project. How does the scoring work? So each assessment sub-criterion will be scored from 0 to 5. That will be using the scoring system. 0 will mean it is not submitted. So we again, it's better that we remind you that please submit your reports. So you start working on the report. Once you are done, please submit it. We give, or it is given 1, and it is named as poor when the criterion is not met or there are serious weaknesses that can be visible. 2 is named as fair, which means criterion partially met with some significant weaknesses. 3 is good, so activity meeting the criterion, fine, but some shortcomings may be presented, but it's still 3, good. 4 is very good for an activity. That means it's very well performing and like any shortcomings are not there or are really minor. 5 is excellent, so it is a project that is successfully meeting all the relevant aspects, so there are no shortcomings identified for a score of 5. Monitoring assessment results. So each criterion is rated according to the average note received by the voting panelists, and the points resulting from the criterion evaluation sum will determine the monitoring panel review results and the next steps that needs to be taken. And as you see, here are the points. And when you sum up them, if it falls between 0 and 25, it needs an EMT decision, go, no go. You see 2650, it is shortcoming to be addressed, probably with some conditions to be set. 5175 is recommendations for consortium to foster their project's impact. 76 to 100 is to explore fast track options, because there might be some projects that are really performing good and there might be some chances to fast track them. And we are approaching to the end of the presentation. Just to remind, as always, you can reach with your questions to us via participants' mailbox.